Okay, I've been meaning to get this video done forever. Well, actually, I did do this video and then none of it recorded. So, here I'm answering some breastfeeding questions. Thank you to those that asked on Instagram or maybe on TikTok in the comments. I'm going to get through as many as I can before Remy wakes up. Okay, first one, how to get started. The best thing I think you can possibly do for this is skin to skin as soon as possible. Ideally, breastfeed within the first hour of life. If you can, get baby straight on you. I know it's not possible, of course, if you've had a cesarean, but as soon as you can, get baby close to you so that they can get familiar with your smell and get close to the nipple. Also, if that's not possible, it's definitely not the end of the world, but keep trying to bring them to the breast as often as you can. So from when that is possible, keep bringing them. They say you can't overfeed a breastfed baby. Baby will stop when they're done. So keep bringing them to the breast and just try as much as you can to get them on. Also try different positions. Cradle hold, the simple basic hold that you see, the most standard one. It might not work for you. I used to rugby hold, feed Amaya quite a lot. That worked the best for us. There's koala, other things. If you just search for breastfeeding positions and try a few different ones. How to know they are getting enough. Okay, I feel like this is one of the most commonly asked questions in it and one of the biggest worries for breastfeeding mothers. I think the first signs really are nappy output, so wet nappies and dirty nappies. When babies are first born, they do that meconium poo, and then you want to see, I think by day 3, you want to see 2 dirty nappies and 5 wet nappies a day, around that, and then that will slowly increase until day 5. And then by day 5, they want to be doing 6 wet nappies and 2-ish dirty nappies in 24 hours. These will look quite yellow by this point. After it's moved away from the black and then the greenish, breastfed babies' poo is generally really yellow and quite seedy sometimes. Avoiding pain and cracking. I feel like this is quite a big misconception that breastfeeding is painful. It shouldn't be painful, and if it is, there's probably something wrong with the latch. That's usually the biggest cause of pain. So if you've got them latched well, there might be like an initial uncomfortable or strong feeling when you get them on, but then it shouldn't hurt after that. If they are cracking though, and it can happen if they do start to crack, if you use a lanolin cream, that works wonders. Don't put too much on though, because it can cause it to be slippy, which can worsen the latch. I've also heard that shields work, nipple shields. I've never used them, but I know some people have had some great success with them if you're having loads of pain. The feeling of let down, and not being let down, but it's a feeling that you get when your milk starts coming out. So after baby's been suckling for a few seconds, maybe 10, 15 seconds, you get let down, which is like you can feel the milk coming down through. And that can be quite a strong sensation, but after that passes, there ideally shouldn't be any pain after that. Okay, coming back to how they know they're getting enough and supply. People have asked the best way to up your supply. Right, first of all, the best way to maintain your supply, I would say, is to continue responsive breastfeeding. So feeding whenever baby wants it. And drinking enough water and eating enough food. This is underestimated, but in breastfeeding, I mean, you're hungry all the time and you're really thirsty. It's just really hungry and thirsty work. So eat plenty, because you burn roughly 500 to 600 calories a day, and drink plenty as well. Now, if you do find that your supply drops for whatever reason, you can power pump. So that's like pumping for 20 minutes, having a 10-minute rest, pumping for 20 minutes, having a 10-minute rest. Maybe do that 2 or 3 times. That can help to up your supply. You just need to be careful that you don't create an oversupply, because then it can lead to things like blocked milk ducts and mastitis. But as long as you feed baby when baby wants, and if you're not pumping at all, you don't even have to worry too much about this. Just feed baby when baby wants it and all should be fairly well. But essentially breastfeeding works like supply and demand. So the more you demand your boobs to make milk, the greater your supply will be. So if you are planning on pumping, my suggestion is that you pump when baby would normally feed. Then when baby needs that feed, they have it from the bottle. When baby is having the bottle, you then pump. I hope that makes sense. I'm going to explain again just in case. Basically, I pump whilst baby is having a feed. So let's say Remy's due a feed at 12 o'clock. I would pump then and ask Ray to give him a bottle of milk, so that my boobs still know Remy needs to eat at this time and it doesn't affect the supply too much. Then when Remy is having the next bottle, I would pump again. People seem to think that you can pump loads the day before. If you're going to be away from baby, you can pump loads and then the next day they can have all that pumped milk and you don't pump. I mean, you can do that, but on the day that you're not pumping or feeding baby, your body is starting to learn, okay, baby doesn't need milk at this time. So that can reduce your supply, which can be quite dangerous. To get started with pumping, pump in between a feed. So if baby feeds at 12 and 3, if you pump at about 1, 1:30, not too much, just pump both sides, maybe 20 minutes, enough to get a bottle ready for the next feed. And then when baby is having a bottle, pump at the same time to replace that, so that your body knows that it still needs to make milk at that time. I hope that makes sense. Okay, in terms of supply as well, the first few days you have colostrum, which is like the liquid gold stuff. Really quite yellowy orange and really good for babies. That's all I need in the first few days of life until day 3-ish when your milk comes in. You'll know your milk comes in because you'll start to feel really full and you'll probably be leaking quite a lot. Somebody asked about gas and winding. You don't have to wind breastfed babies as much because they don't get as much air in. You know, when they're drinking, they don't get as much air as they would from a bottle. But I still find it's helpful to give them a little wind just in case. And Remy usually does a burp after every feed, so why not give them a little rub? But breast milk is a natural laxative, so they shouldn't get constipated. How can you tell when baby is done? Well, baby will probably just pull himself off the breast. Make sure you offer both though, so if they're done with this one, they could have slipped off, pop them back on. But if they're done with this one, offer the other one to make sure that they're done and that, you know, both boobs learn that they need to make milk. Waking hours. Well, you know, we're still up every 3 to 4 hours through the night at 8 weeks old, which is completely normal. I wouldn't say, I mean, people think that breastfed babies wake up more. Not necessarily. I know there's some breastfed babies that sleep through the night by this point. Amaya were doing 8-hour stints by this point. So I guess each baby's different there, but don't let that put you off because you could formula feed a baby and they could sleep awfully anyway. Breastfeeding whilst you've got a toddler as well. Okay, so I like to try and set something up for Amaya before I feed Remy, or I'll ask her to just go and get a book that we can read together, or I'll give her an idea of something to play with whilst I'm feeding Remy, like, why don't you go and get, just to try and keep her busy. But that can be quite a challenge. I understand that can be a challenge for many people. So if you can think of different things for them to do whilst you're feeding baby, that's really helpful. Or sometimes I'll just say to her, do you want to come and sit next to me and cuddle? You know, if she asks, if she's not doing anything, I'll say, why don't you come and sit next to me and give me a cuddle? I've got another arm. So when and how to stop breastfeeding? Well, how to stop? Yeah, that's a difficult question, isn't it? And weaning is not the easiest process in the world. But for Amaya, we stopped when she was 2 years old. So she had a final feed on her 2nd birthday. I'm just going to pull it down. Let's get it right. She had a final feed on her 2nd birthday. They were stopped after that. We used a book called Booby Moon, which I just got off Amazon, but the idea is that the milk goes to the Booby Moon so that the Booby Moon can send it to other mummies that need milk for the babies. Thankfully, Amaya really understood and got on board with this. She still talks about the Booby Moon sometimes now too, which is so cute. But yeah, it's not the easiest. What I would say though is when you've decided to stop, don't go back again because it will confuse them. I completely understand weaning slowly and like cutting the feeds down. I do think that's a good idea, but when you've decided that you're stopping, that's it, stop there, because if you go back again, they're going to forever expect that you might go back again. The World Health Organization recommends that you breastfeed for at least 2 years. It's not easy though. We know it's not easy. That's a big feat. I think any amount of time breastfeeding is fantastic. You know, if you can give it a go, absolutely go for it. Here are some of my favourite things about breastfeeding, just because I feel like more positivity is needed around it. Waking up in the middle of the night and simply picking up the baby and feeding them. Not having to do anything else other than putting them on your boob. Love that. Super easy. Not having to clean bottles if you're not pumping. Not having to do sterilising, not having to worry about like when baby's feeds are going to be, you know, if you're going out for the day, how many bottles do I need to take out, how much powder, etc, etc. Not having to worry about that, just simply taking your own body and your baby. Of course, there are lots of benefits as well for both mum and baby in terms of breastfeeding. So it reduces the rates of breast cancer, it also reduces the rates of childhood cancer. Oh, one that I love, when your baby's poorly, this is insane, but they can like send message through the receptors in your nipples to say that they are poorly, and your milk adapts accordingly, so it will make antibodies to fight against whatever they're fighting. I just think that's incredible. I think I've covered loads here, but if you have any questions, please let me know in the comments. Thank you.